Even as you look ahead, it's also a time of reflecting on where we are from. And 2021, you could say a lot happened. What from nationwide curfew being lifted to political lines being drawn and the bar being set by some of the country's athletes, it has undoubtedly been a jam-packed year. And while we cannot summarize every detail that has happened during 2021, we can put the key events in high resolution. Here is Ngina Kirori with more about the year that was.
Just where does one start with a year that was as full with hope as it was uncertainty amidst a pandemic that had tested both the patience of citizens as well as the healthcare system? Well, the year started off with a burden on many parents' wallets after a compressed 2021 school calendar, so students go through a high-pressure crash program. On the crime beat, January was also the month that saw Lawrence Warunge admit to killing his entire family and a casual laborer attached to the family in Kiambu County. Despite a grim start, positivity would fly into the country quite literally in March as Kenya received the first batch of AstraZeneca vaccines, a jab of hope, no doubt, to get the overwhelmed healthcare system off its deathbed. March would also see the death of an influential leader within the East African region, the late Tanzanian President John Pombe Magufuli, who died from heart complications. Vice President Samia Suluhu took over as the country's new and first female president on March 19th. And as the country entered April, the International Monetary Fund approved a 257 billion shilling loan. Needless to say, some Kenyans were not having it. Frustrations were expressed by a section of Kenyans who implored the IMF to stop granting Kenya loans following NTV's COVID-19 millionaires expose that weakened Kenyans' trust in the government's utilization of funds.
Nobody can stop reggae.
May was also the month that reggae was stopped by the High Court, which declared the Building Bridges initiative unconstitutional. This only widening the drift between the judiciary and the executive. And just days later, on 21st of May, Martha Koome was sworn in as the country's first female Chief Justice, slamming the hammer on the rigid relationship with her predecessor, David Maraga, and President Uhuru Kenyatta. In May, a little girl did a mighty thing when she rode her mother who was in labor along the swollen Lake Victoria waters in the dead of the night. 12-year-old Virginia Ouko made it in the nick of time and her mother delivered her newborn child safely. Virginia's noble effort saw her win a State of Commendation award at the Mashujaa Day celebrations. In August, the country was rocked by the death of Benson and Emmanuel Mutura, two brothers from Embu County who died as a result of police brutality during curfew hours, where it is reported that they were beaten to death. Protests rocked Kianjokoma town, which saw the suspected police officers apprehended in court. September was the month that the cost of living reached a record high, with fuel prices rising to 135 shillings per litre for petrol before Parliament was forced to intervene and put in place a retail price stabilization measure. In the world of sports, Eliud Kipchoge did what he does best and won his second consecutive marathon gold medal at the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. And who can forget the Pandora Papers leak in October that exposed the rich world of offshore currency? President Uhuru Kenyatta was mentioned in the report in an expose by John Alanamo of Africa Uncensored, which detailed the family's long-standing use of companies. The president is yet to respond to the accusations, despite a promise to do so. It is also the month that saw a string of fires raise down various schools in suspected arson attacks.
I hereby order and direct that the nationwide dusk to dawn curfew that has been in effect from the 27th of March 2020 be and is hereby vacated with immediate effect.
But October also brought a sigh of relief for many Kenyans who are tired of the limitations of curfew after President Uhuru Kenyatta lifted the nationwide curfew during the Mashujaa Day celebrations. The end of October also brought all countries together at the COP26 conference in Glasgow, Scotland, to discuss climate change solutions in what was dubbed the last chance to save our planet. In the final month of the year, an arrest warrant was issued for the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, George Kinoti, for his failure to obey court orders and return firearms belonging to businessman Jimmy Wanjigi. The warrant has since been suspended. Days later, Nobel Peace Prize winner South African Archbishop Desmond Tutu passed away at the age of 90. But the month wasn't all gloom, as a police inspector from Taita Taveta County lit up the hearts of Kenyans when he returned 450,000 shillings to a couple who were involved in an accident along the Mombasa Road Highway. Well, that's the year's roundup. From us to you, have a happy 2022. Gena Kirari, NTV.